Welcome to Cape Breton Movers and Shakers, where we have conversations with people who are doing good things here in Cape Breton. I'm Richard Lorway, president of goCapeBreton.com. And today I'm speaking with Carol Pendergast, executive director of the Horizon Achievement Center in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Welcome, Carol.
Good afternoon, Richard.
So what is the Horizon Achievement Center and what is its mission?
Well, it's an adult day program for people with intellectual disabilities, varying disabilities. It supports people in their life goals, whether that be social, leisure, life, employment, and we operate a number of social enterprises. So it's quite a busy place.
Yes. And how long have you been involved with Horizon?
A long time, 40 years.
Wow. Okay.
42 years actually this year. So
wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you've been involved for a long time, and I'm sure you've seen some changes in that time. How have Horizon's programs evolved since you started?
Well, in my career, just to a little story. I can remember my first day of employment, and when I arrived at work, the person I was replacing didn't show up that day. So I was on my own and didn't quite know what my job was supposed to be, because I got my job from a friend who asked me if I wanted to do this, to just graduate. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And she said, oh, just watch, like babysit some adults and people with disabilities. And I had never worked with people with disabilities before, but I had a student loan, just graduated. I said, sure, I'll go for it. And so when I arrived, there was nobody there to tell me what my job was. And except for the people that were there. And so I had to ask them, what am I supposed to do? And they said, well, you sit over there and knit, and we sit here, and we'll tell you when we need you. So they put their hand up and say, Miss Pendergast. And I was like, well, I'm nobody's missus, so just call me Carol. So I was so new to it. And at the end of the day, I remember them all standing at the door, 12 of them. And of course, I'm new. And I said, what are we doing now? Aren't you leaving? And they said, we're waiting for our hug. And I went, well, not for me, I mean, hugging was not something that I did, and wasn't age appropriate to me. And it was just, so it was quite a unique thing for me. It was a learning experience. And they were my teachers. Like I would say something as simple as, okay, guys, do you want to go? Maybe let's go this afternoon for a walk. We're not allowed. We might get hurt. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense to me. So they were my teachers. And I think from that point of view, that was such a positive influence on my life and the way that I run my career. So listening to that. Right. So they have wonderful stories to tell. They just need people to hear them. So
right. And the thinking behind the help has changed, hasn't it? The philosophy, I mean, there's been studies.
Absolutely. The biggest thing right now is in this sector is helping clients to advocate for themselves.
Right.
Self-determination, helping them to understand they do have choices. And the bigger sector as well needs to understand that. We've been so, it's always been about us providing the service to them. And in some cases, it's been services that we thought they needed, or we think they should have. And now the emphasis is more on, what is it that you want to do with your life? Where do you want to live? It's a big education process, not just for the participants, but for families, caregivers, and social workers, and that. It's a whole different philosophy, but quite exciting. I mean, to me, it kind of supports what I did 30, 40 years ago. You tell me what you want to do, and I'll see if I can make it happen. Because I didn't know any better,
Yeah.
I'm constant, barriers at that time. Well, no, we can't let, what if, what do you mean take them on the bus? Like,
Yeah.
what if they get lost? I said, well, what if I get lost?
Yeah.
So it was that youthfulness, I'd like to think, at that time, and just having a vision. And it was I didn't come with any baggage, I guess, for me. So,
Right. Right.
but today, like I said, the self-advocacy, it's very difficult to educate everybody that needs to be educated in that process to make it happen, but making wonderful strides in it now.
Right. So what kind of services and programming does the Horizon Center offer?
Well, depending on the individual themselves, so people that come to this agency can be anywhere from the age of 18 to, we'll say, I think my oldest is 78 or 79,
Right.
and everything else in between. So the services will vary based on what that individual is actually trying to achieve in their life. So um, for some people, especially those with complex needs, they may come to our organization to look for social and leisure activities, therapeutic type of activities like music therapy, animal therapy, and art therapy, and community-based participation in events in the community. So that would be for that group of people. Then you have a group of maybe youth who are just graduating out of high school, who are just trying to decide where they want to live. Do they want to live on their own in an apartment? Do they want to live in a group home? Moving out of mommy's can be a difficult, decision. Do they want to work? So there's a lot of counseling and training and things that would be going on in that area. And then you have people that are in their, mid-20s, 30s that are working towards a career, working towards employment. So they would participate in some of our social enterprises to learn marketable skills, where we would assess their ability to do the job and what their interpersonal skills are like, such as, taking direction from others, being a good team player, showing up to work on time, attendance. And those individuals would move on to perhaps a work experience opportunity in the community, and paid employment after that. We also have pre-employment training, which is structured training program. So if an individual needs help on budgeting and marketing, we might have an 8-hour session on that. Maybe a session on social skills and teamwork, or how to handle criticism, things like that. They're very small group training courses. And community employment is the goal for, I'd say, the majority of our people, which is working for paid employment in the community. We have a number of people who are working at places like Winners and the recycling place over in Point Edward, and our own selves. We have 4 coffee shops in the community that we employ people that have gone through training here in our social enterprises. So
Right.
um, quite a busy place. We are quite a busy place.
Right. So on top of all this, you're in the midst of constructing a new building, are you not?
We are, we are.
How's
And
that going?
then COVID is. It's like you said, it's one of those, every time you open the door, there's something else going on there. It's going well. I'm very, very pleased that in the face of COVID, which started 3 weeks after we got the announcement of having the money. And we just said, we're pushing ahead with this. It's been too long out there. We've been struggling to get the finances for it, to get us started. And it looks like we'll be ready to move in maybe the middle of May
Oh,
12th, around there.
good, good.
Yeah. So yeah, so COVID did have an impact on us for sure. It limited our ability to do fundraising because a lot of our fundraising would have centered around community-based events,
Right.
even things like our catering service had to be shut down. Everything had to be shut down. So our means to generate revenue was pretty much cut off for 2 years. So that was a challenge for us, and is still a challenge for us. But things are starting to look up in that area. And of course, the cost of supplies skyrocketed.
Right.
And the workforce, there's one week there where I think there's 7 or 8 people that had COVID. So our painters couldn't do the walls and things like that, especially when the Omicron variant came around the second time. And it was like, is there anything else that's going to,
Yeah.
blow
Yeah.
up here? But I have a very strong board members and board committee, and a very supportive staff behind us and family, and that's made all the difference in the world. So
Excellent. Excellent. So the new building looks to be considerably bigger than your previous one. Will that enable you to sort of expand your services and your programming?
well, actually, the building is only a little over 2,000 square feet more than
Oh, okay.
this building, plus Macaulay's Lane. So Macaulay's Lane is the old Police Boys and Girls Club that we have used for our life enhancement program over the years.
Right.
There's usually about 15 people in that. So we're taking that. But the building, yes, it does look large, but it's all on one level. So
Ah,
if you
okay.
take the top floor here and the bottom and Macaulay's Lane. That was all that we could do with the funding that we were able to get at
Right.
that time. We had to cut back but having said that, we do own over 5 acres of land there. So there's lots of room for expansion. And we will see additional new clients come in because we hope to increase our social enterprise. And in a lot of cases, when we offer therapeutic programs, for example, music therapy, the space was so small we could only offer to the 8 people we had here.
Right.
Now we can open to the main hall and there'd be 25 people. So people will come off our waiting list, and the way the programs are offered will be changing a lot going forward. So it might not necessarily be a Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, but it could be a Tuesday and Thursday afternoon from 10 to 1, based on the
Yeah.
service. So,
Right. Right.
so
So you mentioned social enterprises. Are these essentially like business units that operate within the center?
they operate within and outside the center.
Okay. And what kinds of?
Well, social enterprises, um, we have a business services, which is mail processing, printing, promotional buttons, assembly work. We do work for the College of Cape Breton, the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, Annapolis Valley, their county. A lot of work is done with local businesses on the mail processing side and the assembly side. We also do food services. So we have baking, it supports our coffee shops as well as the local consumer. So a lot of people call here for sweet trays and for their weddings or their anniversary parties, various things like that. And our food service department has both an internal catering business. So we cater to weddings, anniversaries, banquets, for service clubs, things like that. Um, and that service provides employment, paid employment to the clients who work those events. They are our servers, and they do a fabulous job. They are very proud of the work that they do. Um, I can tell you that they know the rules better than I can ever hope to. If you ask for a coffee and it's not your turn, you're not getting it until they do the line they're supposed to finish
Gotcha.
first. They'll tell you very politely. And then we have a la carte catering, which is catering by order. So most of the community, I would say, in the CBRM have tasted our cabbage rolls, our lasagna, our meatballs, our rice, pasta salads, things like that.
I know I certainly have, by the way, and they're really good.
Yeah, I do at Christmas, especially. Christmas is like just a whirlwind up here. So,
Yeah.
uh, and we supply our own coffee shop. So we have a coffee shop at Kimberly Cafe up at the Harborstone Nursing Home.
Right.
We have a coffee shop called Sebastian's that's in the Cabot House. So if you're ever out visiting our MLA or whatever, you can certainly drop in for a coffee there. There's
Yeah.
a lot of businesses that support that, plus the people who live in the Cabot House. And we have we're waiting for a reopening of a coffee shop at the Citizenship and Revenue Canada building that is celebrating 26 years of service in that building, but it had to be shut down for COVID.
Right.
So we're looking for that to reopen again soon. And the provincial building as well. We had a small one there that closed. And the new building has a public facing coffee shop this time. So anytime that you're around the Open Earth Park or driving up Spar Road, you can stop in the new building. It's called the Steel Grounds Cafe. And there's place to sit in and enjoy the fireplace and sit down and have a cup of coffee. And that's our newest social enterprise.
Nice. So I take it I mean, I know this is kind of one of those questions. The answer is always yes. You're still fundraising, I take it, for programming.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We actually have never really fundraised a lot, except as it relates to this new building.
Right.
Most of our fundraising has been, somewhat small and generic if it were for something specific. Type thing. Our social enterprises allow us to generate revenue that we're able to, not just pay our operational costs, because we aren't 100% funded for our operational costs, so we still have to pay that. But it's very difficult to run a business and at the same time ask for money for fundraising.
Yes.
Kind of have two different things there, but because of the building, in the last 2 years, we've been fundraising pretty heavy solely for the building. And we still have to fundraise, for that. We're equipping the new building with all new equipment. The biggest part of making this dream come true is making sure that the clients have the necessary equipment that they need to learn skills that would get them employment in the community. So instead of using a cash register that's like a key class cash register, we'll be getting computerized cash registers, we'll be getting menu boards, things like that. They'll be learning on very modern equipment. And so that's quite exciting, for all the clients and for the staff, right? So that's part of the.
Do you look for volunteers?
We do. The last 2 years, COVID, we weren't allowed.
Right.
Nobody was allowed to come in, because there is a certain portion of this population that are immune compromised and that, so we have to be very careful with that. So, but once things reopen again, we absolutely would be looking for volunteers, and our hope is to eventually start a foundation that will support the, separate the areas in two so that people understand what their fundraising dollars are going to and that. So
Right. Okay. So a final question. And if somebody wants to get involved some way, if they want to help the Horizon Achievement Center, how do they get in contact with you? How can they help?
well, they can certainly join our Facebook page. That is probably say what you want about technology, but Facebook has been a godsend for our agency because we have no revenue for advertising or things like that. But quite proud of having close to 6,000 friends in our Facebook page for an agency like ours. That's a lot, and it's quite integrative. So if you want to know what we're up to and what we're doing, or how you might be able to take part in some of the things, I would say connect with us, join us on Facebook, or feel free to visit our webpage, www.horizon-ns.ca. All of our programs are there and our contact numbers are there. So
Excellent. Also, by the way, I'll also put a link in the article at the bottom, so people will be able just to click on it and
great,
connect with you.
great.
Great. So listen, Carol, thanks so much for your time today.
You're very welcome. Happy spring.
Happy spring. Yes, finally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've been speaking with Carol Pendergast, Executive Director of the Horizon Achievement Center in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and we'll see you next time on Cape Breton Movers and Shakers.